Pastor Jerry here with another book review. This one, Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas. The subtitle is What if God designed marriage to make us holy more to make us happy? And that's really the premise of his book. What if God made marriage to help us make us more holy, more sanctified? In other words, marriage is something, instead of just seeing marriage as something that you receive and it's about taking and receiving, instead it's something about God's going to use that to build and create and build your character. And if you've been married for any sort of time, you will start seeing that. Now, I often recommend The Meaning of Marriage um, by Timothy Keller when people first get married. But a year later, I would recommend this book, Sacred Marriage, because at that point, you've gone past the honeymoon stage is over, and you're starting to see stuff. You're starting to rub each other maybe the wrong way and stuff. And at that point, sacred marriage is really going to help you, and it's going to help you think through a lot of stuff. So I highly recommend this book. Now, when I bought it, as you can see, the book kind of looked like this. Since then, now the book cover has changed, which is a fun design. I do kind of like it more. I kind of like it better than this design. I never understood what the pear thing is going on. Um, but and I don't know about this, but it's a better cover. Now, give you some information about the book. Gary Thomas, Sacred Marriage has attained the rank of contemporary classic. This revised edition has been streamlined to be faster read without losing the depth that so many readers have valued. It may very well profoundly alter the contours of your marriage. Sacred Marriage doesn't tell you how to build a better marriage. It shows you how your marriage can help you deepen your relationship with God. From the practice of forgiveness to essency of lovemaking to history you and your spouse create together, everything about your marriage is filled with the potential to discover and reveal Christ's character. And in the sense of Christ's character being built in you and towards your spouse. With a provocative discussion question for couples and small groups, this book will certainly change you, because whether it is a light or difficult, your marriage can become a doorway to closer walk with God. That's been true for me. And when I first got married, I will say I wouldn't have thought much of this book. I would have got that. I don't know what he's talking about. But after you get past that honeymoon phase, this book will help you. So definitely, a year later, I would suggest a couple to go through this book. Now, another thing, there's some other things about Gary Thomas, let you know about him. Gary Thomas is writing and residence at Second Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, adjunct faculty member teaching a spiritual formation at Western Seminary in Portland, Oregon. He's the author of 15 books, including Sacred Pathways, A Lifelong Love, Sacred Parenting, and the Gold Medallion Award winning for Authentic Faith. Now, I'm excited because he was one of the professors, online professors I took at Western Seminary. Whenever I have a book that's a Western Seminary grad or a teacher, that just makes me excited, because I graduated from Western Seminary, which is what that diploma over there is about. And so when I interact with someone from Western Seminary, I'm excited. One, because I know the scholarship and the academic rigor is wonderful. So I highly recommend this book. Now, I'll get to that in a moment. I got a little out of order. Let's see. Oh, I didn't get in here. I'll put it in here. I'll read it to you. So I forgot to put in the table of contents. I tried to do that. So it has my edition, and I'm guessing the new one is something somewhere. Has 13 chapters. They aren't too long. It really is a quick read, but it is the greatest challenge in the world, a call to holiness more than happiness. And often that is one of the things we're all about. Our marriages being making us happy, make me happy as a husband, or for a wife, make me happy as a wife. And what if it's more than that? What if it's about making you holy? What if the whole purpose God designed marriage, and the reason why He brought man and woman together is they would make each other holy? Finding God in marriage analogies teaches us the truth about God, and that's very true in Ephesians. And uh, Paul explains how marriage is an example of what the gospel is and about God. Learn to love, how marriage teaches us to love, and you really don't know how to love. You when you date, and especially when you have that love, that kitty love and puppy love, and it's sort of kind of sweet, and um, but you really don't know what love is until you're in marriage, until you go through good times and bad, and sickness and health. And ultimately, death do you part. You really don't know what love is until you've gone through those trials. Um, Holy honor, marriage teaches us to respect others, and that's really true. I mean, it's really is you're really learning how to respect your wife, and also therefore also through your kids, and it again, it's about learning to grow, be more focused towards others and less on yourself. Um, Soul embrace. Good marriages can foster good prayer, and yeah, I pray more now more than ever because I'm married, especially since I have a son. But having a spouse, you pray for your marriage, you pray for your spouse, and it affects how you pray for people. Um, cleansing uh, Cleansing of marriage, how marriage exposes our sin. And yes, when you live night and day with your spouse, they're going to expose areas of sin that most of the time can lay dormant and no one will notice. It's only because this person now lives with you 24/7 that there are areas that no one has saw how those sins are now getting exposed. And so marriage does that. And so it's good because when those areas of sin in your life is exposed, then you can deal with them. Sacred history, building the spiritual discipline of perseverance. And that's true. Marriage requires perseverance. Marriage requires work. Yes, you love your spouse, and yes, marriage should not be quote work, but it does require effort. You have to choose to love your spouse, and the feelings should be a byproduct of your action. You act loving to your spouse, and therefore you love your spouse, and so they should be working together. Um, Sacred struggle, embracing difficulty in others to build character. And there's going to be stuff in each other's life that, man, they drive you nuts. There's stuff in my wife that drives me nuts, absolutely nuts. There's stuff I do that drives my wife absolutely nuts. But in that, we learn to be more loving and tolerant and patient and forgiving. And we would not learn that if we didn't start embracing that the how the other person is and embracing that character and learning how to love through that. Um, Falling forward, marriage teaches us to forgive, and that's I was just talking about that. No, we have to choose to move forward, choose to forgive. Make me a servant. Marriage can build in us a servant's heart, and absolutely, you God has called you to lovingly serve your wife or your husband, and you have to choose that, and that you're learning how to have servanthood towards someone, especially when it's been a long day and the last thing that you want to do that, you just want to kick up on the couch, put your shoes up, watch a TV. Instead, you're helping your spouse do the dishes, or help them with the kids, or um, paying the bills, or or giving them a massage, or you choose to be a servant. Sexual saint. Marital sexuality can provide spiritual insight and character development. and it really can. And it's one of the things that we don't talk about enough about is how sex has to do about marriage and how's that do with spirituality. Because God, let's make it clear, God created sex. And yes, it's pleasurable. Yes, it's for procreation. But what else can we learn and grow from it? Uh, 12, sacred presence, how marriage can make us more aware of God's presence. And it really does. More aware of God's presence being married than not married. And sacred mission, marriage can develop our spiritual calling, mission, and purpose. And that's really true. As a married man and me and my wife do life together, we very much are helping discover each other's mission and purpose, and encourage each other, and helping each other to discover their skill, talent, and treasure, and we help each other move to where we see God is calling them. So I highly recommend Sacred Marriage. Now, I will say, when me and my wife first saw this book and saw our first read book, we weren't too sure about it. But after I read it a year or so later, I discovered, wow, I really like this book. And then now, I would always say, read the book first. I'm always for read the book first because you're going to get more from the book. But eventually, you can also they've actually created a DVD workbook series. That's always good, especially for a small group. If you guys, now I would recommend you guys read the book also because you're going to get more from the book. But this just kind of gives you some legs to it and some application, and so you can start walking forward. But they do have that also. So I will highly recommend Gary Thomas's Sacred Marriage. What if God designed marriage to make us more holy than to make us happy? Uh, Go ahead, go pick it up. Have a great day, and God bless.